You don't see rabbit tobacco or something. It's one of those normalizers. You need one. Nigel or rabbit tobacco or something. Let's get 3, 4 of them. I don't know. I haven't been able to get past. I know yarrow and I know the first 3.
And I would do, of course, Queen Anne's, which I already mentioned. I would do American ginseng. I would do black walnut. I would do angelico, which y'all probably have up here.
We have angelica, but not angelico.
Okay, we have angelico, which is Augusticum. I would do either golden seal or I would do yellow root, either one of those. So that's, that sort of thing. So that's 5. And mine changed too, but pretty much black walnut is always going to be there. Queen Celeste, Anne's Lace is already going to be there. Black Hobosh pretty much is always going to be there. I mean, I feel like with all those things, maybe Solomon seal for number 6. I would probably have that one in. Rabbit tobacco. Another good parasite herb besides black walnut, in addition, I would probably do something like wahoo or Nigeria is a good parasite herb. I use that a lot for parasites. And our pink root even. I use that. So that's like...
It kind of depends on your age and if we were in more of a parasite-ridden time and place.
Well, the South is always parasite-ridden time and place. We're subtropical in hot moistness. There's almost always parasites there. And as the global warming comes, more and more the country's going to be parasites.
Yeah, we're going to be in the South pretty soon. You're going to be that equator.
Yeah. So there's some tried and true herbs I've used all my life that I know really well, and I can do a lot with them. Like my grandmother only knew maybe 7, 8 herbs that she used, because she could do everything with them. My dad only ever used ginseng. He could do almost anything with ginseng. He knew how long to cook it for whatever it was he was using it for. So he said, what else do I need? And then he discovered aloe vera. So it's always good to have a good laxative, aloe vera, because or something. He discovered aloe vera in his 50s. And he was like, wow, this is unique. Plants. It does things ginseng doesn't do. Whatever your favorite herbs are that you put in your medicine chest, it's hardly ever the herb I'm learning at the time. It's the herbs I know I can do a lot with. In an emergency situation, it's good to have one herb that every single thing it can do, than to have 50 herbs you can only use for one thing. Yes, ma'am.
What you're calling yellow root, what's the Latin name for that?
Xanthorrhasa
It doesn't
simplicia.
grow here. It's usually not found in commerce up here.
Oh, okay.
It's a gentle version of golden seal, and it should probably be used instead of golden seal because it's more plentiful and use the above ground part, but it hasn't crept out of the southeast use-wise. You couldn't grow it here either.
Xanthorrhasa with an X?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but golden seal will do. So either one of those will do. So those I always have around. Oh, and chickweed. I really like chickweed.
Yeah.
And I use chickweed for a whole lot of different things too.
It's one of those uses.
Yeah.
If I wasn't self-employed and I worked for somebody else, or in downtown or something, then I'd want agrimony or citric oil. But because I'm self-employed, I don't deal with assholes very often.
I got citric oil in my garden.
So if you're, a lawyer or something, or you're dealing with a huge corporation, you need that remedy.
Any other questions or comments or thoughts? I gotta stand up for a while.
Do you guys wildcraft most of your stuff?
What's that?
Do you guys wildcraft most of your stuff, or do you buy it somewhere?
Well, you wildcraft what's wild and you garden what's not wild.
Yeah, I wildcraft what I can and then I buy what I can. I'm a terrible gardener. I haven't got into gardening herbs yet.
Well, that's why you get apprentices.
Well, I started this year. That's why I have water this high. See, apprentices. they just kept mowing it down, which is maybe one of the reasons it wouldn't grow. It's just like, I'm not.
I do think if you had a sandy spot or something, because that heavy clay soil.
Well, we made a raised bed for it, kind of built it up, so it's doing a little bit better. It spreads, but it just doesn't get very tall. So I wildcraft quite a bit, and when people in the herb school go out on herb walks, we wildcraft when we go out, and have an apothecary in school, and whatever we wildcraft, everybody gets to take home some, use and practice with, and finishes the school too. So we do quite a bit of wildcraft.
If you change that question, what's your top 15? We've gotten close to that, but that would definitely include agrimony, definitely include this sumac, include mullein, which we didn't go.
Yes, sumac would definitely be in there, and mullei's a good one too. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be in the top 10, maybe top 7.
I don't use it. Yeah, it's a good one.
You don't use
It'd be in my
plantain that
top
often?
15. Huh?
You don't use plantain that often?
I use it, but not probably as often as I could. And it grows everywhere there. It's all in my yard.
I have a short little story. My girls they're out geocaching right now. My wife calls on break and says that I think we should take them home because their legs and feet are getting tired. I said, tell Evelyn to go find some plantain and put it on the bottom of her feet. And she said, oh yeah, okay. So.
Or mullein.
Mullein. She doesn't know mullein yet.
Or mullein too.
Mullein is really good.
I personally want gravel root up there, but that's just local affinity. But that comes broken bones because it's bone sense cousin.
Yeah, I would choose Prostate because we don't have hardly any gravel root where I live.
Don't you call gravel root though?
Queen of the Meadow.
Yeah, Queen of the Meadow down there. Yeah.
So we call it Queen of the Meadow because we hardly ever see it.
Yeah.
It grows in the shade on the creek bank. It's not growing up. I see it out in the fields here in the swampy areas. I think it just must get too hot down there. But we have something I did notice up here. We have ironweed, which we also call Queen of the Meadow. And I use that. You see that it's a really good plant too that people don't use very often.
Here's a neat thing about ironweed. You can plant it in your garden, and I call it stake plant because it's real hard stalks, and you break it off at the end of the year, and you can save them and use them in the spring for stakes. And then they kind of break down by the end of they last one summer, but by the end of the summer they're ready to deteriorate and go back into the ground. They're perfect for garden stakes.
It's very good. And the tops make a good decoction for liver support and for building the blood. And the root, when I harvest the root, I harvest with a hatchet, not a shovel, because coming out of the ground, that's how hard they are. I mean, ironweed is truly the name of that plant. And to dry it, I have to take the hatchet and chop it up to dry it to decoct it.
Really interesting. Combine it with blue vermin. I don't know what happened with those two
yeah,
plants.
I really would, or that and horsetail, or that. I mean, it's just, it really does have a lot of iron to the root, so to speak.
Kind of like mullein. Mullei's like a bone. You can't cut it. You can't break it.
I use a saw, or I use it with the ironweed. It's just like, and it's not a big root. It's a big, tall plant, but the root is not all that big, and it's just firmly anchored in the soil, and it's just a really, really hard root. And I got the hatchet, and I'm like, chop, 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 and I'm like, chop, chop, and I'm like, one of the kids, hold this root while and they're like, no.
Mom's got a hatchet.
Mom, yeah. It's hard to process.
That reminds me, another top 15 would be red root, and I'm sure you use that too. One of the great lymphatics and water remedies of the body.
See, I might put poke in there instead. If I had to choose between red root and as a lymphatic, I'd probably take poke.
Well, see, we don't have. Do you still grow poke? Do you still have?
No, it lasted quite a while, and you could definitely. So if you grow poke next to your house on the south side up here in Minnesota, you can get it to grow most years. Real bad winter, it might ground out. It was kind of funny. Then the birds would take the seed, and I'd find them along fences and power lines. You could tell they were eating it and spreading it, but then it died back 5-6 years later. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have poke.
But
But I love
your
your-
tree in my side yard. I just chopped it down. The stalk of the poke was like that.
Wow.
It was about 15 feet tall.
but she lives in the poke salad capital of the world.
Yeah,
You-
yeah.
You have a T-shirt that says that.
Yes.
We have a poke salad festival. We said, he wasn't teasing, that was our big, May festival, is poke salad festival.
Well, I do like the red root because as a lymphatic, it's neither hot nor cold. It's one of the few remedies pretty neutral temperature-wise, so you can add other things to it to make it hot or cold. Because like poke it's warming, but it's very stimulating. And cleavers is cooling, lymphatic, and Glenda is a warming lymphatic, and and red clover is slightly cooling, not too bad, not a very strong lymphatic though. So that red root is really a good all-around, simple, gentle water mover and lymphatic remedy.
Like better than butcher's broom? For butcher's broom is more for blood, I think.
Yeah, more
So,
for the-
yeah. One of the reasons I'm cautious with red root is that it doesn't take very much. I think a lot of people make the dose too strong because it can actually depress bone marrow if the dose is too strong. It's one of the cautions I was taught, and I found this to be really true, that it's such a strong remedy. It's like poke. It's as strong as poke in its own way.
Okay.
And a little bit works really well, and a lot is depressing onto the
Well, I never
system.
had that trouble.
But you don't use big doses
No, I
anyway.
know. That's right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, and actually there is a case study I was just reading last week before I drove up here, where they documented that red root spread in lymphoma. That actually made it
Wow.
worse, made it very aggressive and
Oh,
spread.
because it helps things go through the matrix and stuff.
Oh, maybe. But, and it was documented in an animal, not a human. But anything that happens with dogs, I'm cautious about with people. But it actually took a kind of slow-growing lymphoma, and suddenly, within a week, it was aggressed and all over.
Yeah,
It
see,
spread it that
that
fast.
remedy, it helps like water move through the body. Like, not just, and it helps cysts and accumulations of water, so it kind of, it may help the extracellular matrix. It could help things spread through there because it really irons out kind of stuckness in the water of the body. So that includes the lymphatics too.
Yeah.
What's it do for the bone marrow?
I've seen what to me looked like depression of bone marrow, where it drops the white counts. And when
It
it,
may increase it
Huh?
in small doses.
yeah, I think in small doses it increases it, and in big doses it depresses it.
Yeah, I did have one person only on the 3-drop dose, unless he took more, which he might have done, no, again, but didn't admit to it, but it caused him to pee too much. So it was really removing or moving water. And he was a little bit medium to thin, so he didn't look like somebody who needed to lose a lot of water anyway. He felt uncomfortable. Like he had to go once an hour.
Well, red root is also very astringent, and it's as good as a Yarrow starting bleeding. Probably if you're bleeding, red root tincture stuck in bleeding like that. Yeah, it really does. But Tommy used red root for prostate, enlarged prostate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it really works well for
And
that.
it works well for that, and it helps people pee more. So maybe that's what it was doing for him, is actually working on his prostate.
Oh.
So his bladder was empty and not then be a diuretic. Did
Yeah.
that not make sense?
Let's mention Tommy's 2 great remedies for prostate, because I found them, well, there's 3, one more I would add in there. But with these 3 you can handle most cases. It's better than that. All those other ones in the health food store. So number 1 is red root, and number 2 is huckleberry, which if you can't get the huckleberry, you can get blueberry leaf instead. We're in the north here. It's same genus, and like if you're dealing with the blueberry huckleberry genus, it doesn't matter what the last name is because the botanists don't agree on anything. So Huckleberry, blueberry,
Bilberry.
Yep.
You use bilberry.
yeah, yeah, because that's Vex in them too. So those two are tremendous, are
Did
really.
you say bilberry?
Yeah.
Bilberry.
Like American bilberry? I'm thinking of,
Oh, well, bilberry is the European blueberry.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the leaf. The leaf.
Okay, yeah, in Europe they only have one species. Over here they have like about 12 or 15, and they can't figure out which one is which. And there's pretty definite division between the huckleberry and the blueberry. And then the third one I learned from Margie Flint, who thought she learned it from me, is burdock root. Burdock is really a good prostate remedy. It's also a womb remedy, but it is a really good prostate remedy. So those three I've seldom failed to help somebody with prostate trouble. And like, I never found somebody that saw palmetto fit perfectly, because saw palmetto really has to be malnourished and thin and dry, because it's a very nourishing remedy, sexually nourishing too. Oh, when I taught in Omaha, there was a woman who she was talking about her daughter, and she was pretty old, and I asked her, somehow came up, and when she was 46, her husband and her decided, they just knew from spirit they were supposed to have another kid, and so she ate saw palmetto for a year and got pregnant.
Well, in Native American tradition, saw palmetto is a woman's remedy, not a man's remedy.
Yeah.
In Creek tradition, it's a woman's remedy. It's a menopausal remedy. It's for women who have vaginal atrophy, and it's for women who have breast atrophy. It's for atrophy of menopause and to help make the transition change. It's not a man's remedy.
It is a survival food, but
It is a survival food. It tastes terrible. You have to be surviving to eat it.
yep.
It's bad. But I think that's how it works for enlarged prostates. It's estrogenic. And one of the remedies for enlarged prostate and prostate cancer is to give men estrogen. So saw palmetto is estrogenic. It's not testosterone. It's the estrogen that's in opposition to the testosterone that's filling the prostate. So I think that's how it works. The only time I've got it to work is when I've had somebody wanting to take saw palmetto that I didn't want to do anything else, and I was like, okay, you've got to do basically 10 to 12 capsules a day, and it does work at those
Oh my
times.
God.
Well, it's just the ground up berries. I mean, how many berries are you going to eat? Think about it. And it's like, that's maybe a tiny handful of berries ground up in the palm of your hand with 10 capsules, and you're going to eat 10 berries. You know, so it's not as much as it sounds like, but it's a lot of capsules. It's not a lot of herb.
I just wouldn't do it.
Well, this person did,
Wouldn't
it
cooperate with
really
that
did,
person.
well, this person wanted to, but that's fine, I don't care, as long as they get it down, I don't care if they capsules. But it really helped.
Oh, I
You know,
thought
after
it's
about
capsules.
3 weeks, it was in capsules, and after about 3 weeks, his
Was he
prostate,
thin and dry by any chance?
no,
No?
he wasn't. But after about 3 weeks, he was not getting up at night, urinating at all, he'd been getting up about 3 times a night. But every time I've seen it work, it's just like the super large dose they have to take. So instead, why don't you try the regular? I kind of,
It
say,
does work 3 drops or 10.
yeah, it does. And I'll go, you can do all this off the mat, or you can do this little bit of red root over here. So I give them a choice. But this person was like, no, I don't know. This is in the health food store. I know it's regulated. I know what it is. I don't know what decision made. I thought, fine. do like 12 capsules a day, 10 to 12 capsules a day.
What I don't like
He
about
was
that,
happy with it.
personally, is that that's forcing the body. It's not working, like, when you use those little doses, you know that you're working with the body, because it couldn't do anything really for, maybe if you took it 6 months or something. But
He did. He really did take it
he
6
took,
months.
he took supplemental 6 months.
Yeah, I just did take it with
I just
meals.
hate to
He
think.
took like 4 capsules with everything.
I just hate to think, especially when you're doing with endocrine remedies, because it's got a lot of steroids in it. It's got a lot of saponins in it, pre-steroids, but God, I just think when you force the body to change, you really are asking for trouble.
I agree.
Yeah, right. They end up with something else that nobody can figure out. Yeah.
or it takes you in the opposite direction.
Yeah, no, nettle root, I've never done nettle root, but I mean, I can't object to anything from the nettles, but that's another fad remedy. And then the pygium, which is Prunus pygium, so that's a African plant. From Kenyan, I heard that it's being overpicked to extinction there, so it's.
I never found that to work either.
Yeah. She said she was an expat Brit. She said, yeah, the French are overtaking that. They don't care about the environment. So Tommy had a
Yeah.
really simple, good remedies. And you even, for two of them are astringents, you think, yeah, so they're going to act more on men that are big and wet and like too damp down there. And you just think, like, what's going to affect the prostate? It's going to be all that water falling down there and swelling it. And that's going to be,
Boggy prostate.
yep, that's going to be red root or huckleberry. And then, and blueberry's also, bilberry also a diabetic kidney remedy too, so there's some adjustments there. And on the other hand, then burdock root is moistening, oily, and it is a womb remedy too. It's said to move the womb, but I don't know that it has hormones, but it has oils that help the body build steroids, which is a little bit like supplemental that way, but it's very good for the prostate too. So there we go. One a little bit too dry, and the other two a little bit too damp. So,
What about asparagus root?
oh, have not used that. Yeah, now of course Chinese medicine they use, and Indian medicine they use asparagus. They use the root. Shatavari, that's a famous female remedy actually. She of 1,000 husbands. But our asparagus is different, and it certainly acts on the kidney. I haven't heard of the root though. What have you heard about the root? Is that another?
Yeah, I just heard this Chinese dynasty guy had 50 concubines.
Oh, he had 100 wives.
Yeah, really, he's in big trouble.
Yeah, well, of course, sexual activity actually makes the prostate more healthy, so that was a prostate remedy.
Any other questions, anything else kind of on your mind, or we didn't cover it, you want to know about, or anything about, or?
Rhubarb root. Do you know anything about that?
And what?
Rhubarb root?
Well, yellow dock root and rhubarb root, I would choose yellow dock root. Do you use yellow dock root?
I use yellow doctor, yeah.
Okay, that's a top 10, absolutely, especially for guys like me, big, strong,
I like
the
yellow
bear badger type. So with the stomach. And that's very good for diabetes and that type 2 diabetes. So yellow dock root looks like badger. And so does the big rhubarb root. So badger roots move things down in the digestive tract. They help digest and they move the liver more. It's a yellowish root. It's a little bit active on the liver, but very active on the intestines. Good. Yellow dock root is the all-around best remedy for constipation without getting too active, and getting the peristaltic motion going. And there's so many things it does. It's a little sour, it's astringent, it's tastes kind of moldy. It's a little bitter from the anthocyanins in it. So, but being astringent, it works both ways on the intestine for diarrhea or constipation. It adjusts. It's a good normalizer for constipation or diarrhea. And I could lecture on that for 15 minutes. I know Phyllis wants to get going.
Well, I'll just add that it's one of my favorite gallbladder remedies for a gallbladder that's kind of lost its tone and become filled with mucus and bile, and it's not moving, because it helps the gallbladder contract, which is one way it helps with regulating bowel movements. You get a better normalizing flow of bile out of the gallbladder. It's one that I use a lot for, liver gallbladder problems. And it's good for fatty livers. Might mix it with a little milk thistle for a fatty liver, or somebody who has fatty tumors on the liver. It's really good for that. It's you can decoct it down and make sure boil your decoction up, and then you take and strain it off, and then you boil that up with molasses. It's yellow dock syrup is a really good iron builder. Really, it builds up the body.
It's good to give it with another remedy with iron in it, so molasses is a good idea there.
Yeah, to decoct it and then heat it again
With a molasses, so you make a really good syrup out of it. Just keep it in the fridge, and it's excellent for building the body. I recommend that a lot for women who are anemic because of period or blood loss, so that can be really good there. It's good for skin problems and skin disorders and eczemas. It's good in salves topically. It's good internally.
It's unusual that it's more for the wet eczemas than the dry ones, which is distinctive, like burdock and Oregon grape for the dry ones. And this one's more for wet eczema, which is a little bit less usual.
So it is a really good all-around herb to have in your cupboards.
Well,
You know, for digestive complaints, it's a good bitter as a digestive aid before or after a meal.
I was holding myself back because you had to go, but now you're forcing me to talk at length about this.
No, I'm not.
Well, because if you understand what it does to the digestive tract, then you know, then it fits in perfectly with the liver gallbladder. Like, so first, it acts from one end of the digestive tract to the other. Like some of our foods make you feel like not eating anymore. Like if you have lemon or something, or lemon in your salad or something, it cuts down on your appetite. Yellow dockroot is for too much appetite, too much saliva, which I definitely have. It's for too much acid secretion in the stomach. Generally, if there's too much secretion in the mouth, there's too much in the stomach. Yet it probably is also for lack of secretion in the stomach, and one of the few elements that's taken up by the stomach is iron, and it definitely helps whether if there's not enough hydrochloric acid or there's too much or something. It helps to take up on iron, so that is good. Then so it's normalizing the upper digestive tract, and then it gets into the lower digestive tract. It's both astringent and laxative. So too much diarrhea, too much constipation. It's particularly good for have to rush to the bathroom, all of a sudden have to go boom, like that happens when I need to pee sometimes a lot of the time. But boy, when you have to poop, and you have 15 seconds to go to the bathroom, I had that for a couple times, and the old doc totally taken care of it. So that's fairly unpleasant.
And more information than I needed.
Well, yeah, but if you have that, you will want that information. But on the other hand, it could be for constipation too.
Right.
And then finally, it's for bleeding hemorrhoids. It's one of the few remedies for bleeding hemorrhoids because it's basically for an overheated digestive tract, overactive, and yet can be stagnant at the same time. Because acid foods are cooling again, and this really cools off the digestive tract, and yet with the anthraquinones, it can stimulate the muscles a little bit. So if you are have too much appetite, too much quick peristalsis, so then your liver and gallbladder are going to be overstimulated. It's also for easily stimulated gallbladder, which, as Phyllis says, you touch that, it just goes boom. So that's the opposite of what she's describing, but it's a normalizer. So it hits both sides. It's both constipation and diarrhea. It's both diarrhea of the gallbladder and constipation of the gallbladder. And then it gets back to the liver, and I don't know all the liver stuff, but Michael Moore believed that it helped the liver store iron, the ferritin. Yeah. And so it helps pick up of iron, storage of iron, and there is iron in the plant. You know that because I can't think of any other plant that actually rusts. But the seeds, you look at the seeds, they get rusty.
Right.
So
the leaves get rust on them too.
Yeah. So it's high in iron, but it's good to give it as an iron tonic with something else because it really helps the uptake of iron, so nettles or something else too. So that's pretty much it, except constitutional indications. Least develop these. It's really good for people that are like yellow around the eyes, nose, and mouth, and then red on the cheeks. What does that mean? That means digestive stagnation usually, which could be spleen, stomach, Chinese medicine, or liver, gallbladder, or both. And then it means heat in the digestive tract. The red on the cheeks means, well, it could be heat in the lungs too, but in this case with the yellow it means heat in the earth, heat in the digestive tract too. And and once Lisa was sick and I met her, she was coming out of a present moment of hers, and she taught me this. And it's just always, I don't feel very good. And I said, Lise, you have the markings, you need the yellow doctorate. And that's why I helped her, so that was nice to help her, that she helped me understand it. One more thing on it, one great case history, which was the mother of the daughter with the rapid tobacco. So she I've been treating her for colitis once in a while. She got pregnant, third pregnancy, but this time for some reason, boy, she got tremendous colitis. She's 15 to 20 bottles a day. She was wrung out. She was on 55 milligrams of prednisone a day. That wasn't stopping, and the doctor would come in and mumble something about we're going to have to operate it because they're up another day. So she called me down, saw him sitting there. Nurse client came in. Who are you? I said, oh, I'm the witch doctor. She and I get along really well, so Era and I, so I didn't mind joking like that. So I had a quarter of an ounce of yellow dock root, and I gave it to her. Oh, she had yellow serum coming up to the skin. It also is when the yellow serum comes out, bleeds out of the skin, and patches of rusty red. It was like the personification, the colors of yellow dock root. So, we were both like so spaced out, kind of airhead types that it took us about 2 or 3 years to realize that we were going to remove her colon if we didn't do anything. So I said, oh, why don't you take this? We're sitting there thinking, oh, I'm the witch doctor. And they even sent a doctor in kind of surreptitiously, like interview me and see if who I was. Oh, my son has enteritis. What would you do for that? I said, oh yeah, well, it's different every case, So, so I gave her like I said, 3 drops, as needed, or maybe I'd say put a dropper full in a bottle of water and sip it. But she took 1 dose and she was constipated for 2 days. And then she went into what they call religious ecstasy. And how did they know that? She was an Orthodox Jew, and she started blessing people. People would come to see her, and she was blessing them. And the doctor said, "You're blessing people." And she said, "Well, what do you want me to do? Curse them?" So they put her in the
Psych ward.
lockup. 3 days in the psych ward lockup. And they thought that she was getting religious ecstasy because they were taking her down on the prednisone too quickly, and so they took 6 months. They let her out after 3 days. And she called me, and she could understand the whole universe, God's plan, everything, God's plan for her. It was really beautiful, but it was really different. But, it's great to have religious ecstasy once in a while. So they took her 6 months to get off the prednisone, and then so she was well. And a year and a couple months later, she called me again. Oh, I'm having a little bit of diarrhea again, little stools. I said, oh, take the yellow dock root, every once a little bit until it goes away. She called me back pretty quick. She said, it gives me every time I take it, I get a little blip of religious ecstasy. I said, oh my God. Wow, and my mind totally shifted, click, because in between in that year, I had heard that out at the Sundance in South Dakota, that the Indians, the Lakota, use, they have a sacred dock, it's a rumex, it's sacred dock, it grows in the Missouri Valley up there, and they use that it's called medicine of understanding, and you take it before a sweat lodge or a Sundance to increase your spiritual understanding. So I was like, wow, this fits exactly. If I had known that, it would have made a lot less sense. I said, oh my God. And so I gave just about the all-time lowest dose of all. I said, take 1 drop once a week, and every time you get the religious efficacy. It should get less and less, and same with diarrhea, and it should go away, and it did. And she said, and it kind of helped her not be quite as much of an airhead. So she'd say, you know, she talked to people about their spiritual life, and they'd say, okay, you understand. What are you going to do about it now? And it was 12 years before she ever needed another dose of the yellow doctor. She has never had that colitis again. So that was pretty cool. But she is the only one who ever got religious ecstasy from the doctor.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
You know, I think several of us feel kind of isolated and overwhelmed. And maybe there are people we can study with theoretically, but everybody's far away. And
Well, how many of you live in Winona and within? Yeah, you certainly don't.
Whether Bonnie has classes here.
Yeah. Where do you live?
Iowa,
Yeah, where in Iowa?
south of Des Moines.
Okay. Well, the nearest herbalist I know,
Yeah,
Is Trilby?
Trilby, you know her? Yeah.
I've already.
Okay, you
You're
don't
the
live
one-
near Kansas
you're the
City,
one
do
who
you?
emailed me.
Live in the, yeah. Leavenworth is no closer than Bonnie's. I mean,
No.
yeah.
Are you interested in online and then intensives?
I mean, I don't know where, I feel like I don't know what to do exactly. I just feel like,
I'm going to
We
be
need to
doing
talk.
online courses and then an intensive weekend. I don't know that. Huh?
There's an herb for that. Brett, we need to talk. I remember, you know. I remember those emails you sent and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
We need
don't
to
know.
talk.
I'm trying to think. I don't know what her
Correspondence.
Trilby's the only one I know.
there's got to be like I mean, I just feel really illogical and I just feel like, ooh,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
let me say something about that too. So, as a doctor, well, you really are. I've been noticing. No, but so Chris, what was his name? That doctor in Minneapolis, says that he did some herbs. Holistic medicine. Well, this holistic MD, he said, yeah, it's a funny thing about learning herbalism. I feel like first I learned how to run from first to second, and then how to hit a ball in the central field, and then how to catch the ball at home plate. Like, you learn like pieces of without it sticking together, and pretty soon after 5 years, you know how to run around the bases. You know, like 75 to 90% of the things about baseball. And then in 15 years, you know 99, you know everything except the rule book.
No.
But after 50 years, you know the rule book. So
No, that is true. That is true.
yeah,
I mean, when
that's
I
the way you
started-
learn.
When I started to, it was like, oh, what are they talking about? Over my head, you know. But the more and more you sit in on conferences or whatever, or like I said, we need to talk after class because I have some ideas for you. It just all comes together. All these bits and pieces that you're gathering from here and there and everywhere, they just all come together.
How close are you to Michigan? I have no idea where you're at.
She's like 5 hours. Is it a 5 hour drive or 4 hour drive?
Okay.
That's several states away.
Yeah. Is it a 5 hour drive or 4 hour drive?
it's got to be the time for here.
That's what I'm thinking. It's 5 hour drive.
Because I was thinking Jim McDonald, but I didn't know.
No.
that was
So
where
you're
it
maybe
was.
2.5 to trophies?
Yeah, but I've taken workshops and
Oh, you
I'm
don't?
over
It doesn't.
kind of.
And what? Or it just doesn't work for you, or?
She was just, I don't know, it wasn't a good situation.
It wasn't a good fit. We just say, you know, kids, you know, not every teacher is for.
So
every
how
student.
far from St. Louis are you?
How far are you away from Omaha? How
Yeah,
far are you-
there's a good point.
How far are you away from
Oh,
Omaha?
God, there's a good-
That's not very far, is it?
2 hours.
2 hours?
Okay.
Oh,
there
Nicholas
you go.
Schnell.
Yeah.
He does a lot of
Now
Chinese.
is-
Yeah.
He does a lot of Chinese medicine, but Nicholas Schnell. Yeah.
He teaches.
Spirit Bear. Spirit Bear. I think just.
Yes, that's good. Nicholas Schnell. He's probably the most successful clinic in the country. He's got